which placed at ready command the rich resources of his luminous and discriminating mind. Madison did not leap forward to meet strangers or try to dominate in conversation. He was naturally reserved and perhaps also influenced by a lesson of his youth. From The Spectator, a London periodical that he favored in his early years, he had learned that modesty becomes a man. Famed Spectator author Joseph Addison described it as a guard to virtue and noted that it sets off every great talent which a man can be possessed of. By now, Madison also understood that reticence had its political uses. It was wise to avoid strong statements while circumstances were still unfolding. It was often advantageous to put forth proposals anonymously and thus avoid alienating allies who might not agree. If, in avoiding center stage, Madison missed some of the praise, he also avoided some of the criticism, thus saving his reputation for a future day. Madison dressed plainly, as befitted a man who did not want to be conspicuous. Eventually, he would wear only black. His public speaking was as unadorned as his dress. His words and ideas came forth with coolness and clarity, unobscured by drama. Although no one thought of him as an orator for the ages, those who paid attention understood that when he spoke, he was enormously effective. If eloquence includes persuasion by convincing, his fellow Virginian John Marshall wrote, "Mr. Madison was the most eloquent man I ever heard." Thomas Jefferson believed that Madison's reserve had held him back when he first began his public career, and another friend, Samuel Stanhope Smith, told him that his early achievements had come in spite of all your modesty. But the reputation that Madison had acquired by the time he arrived in Philadelphia in May 1787 suggests that his manner had been little hindrance. "Every person seems to acknowledge his greatness," commented William Pierce, who, like Madison, was a delegate to the Philadelphia Convention. Indeed, now that Madison's intellect and political skill were so widely recognized, his demeanor seemed to burnish his reputation. Despite all his renown, he remained, in Pierce's words, a gentleman of great modesty, with a remarkable sweet temper. Although she was the same age as Congressman Madison, Eliza Trist sometimes assumed a motherly attitude toward him. She knew from Jefferson that much as he had accomplished, he was likely to achieve still more, and she worried about the torrent of abuse he would have to bear as he rose higher. "He has a soul replete with gentleness, humanity, and every social virtue," she wrote to Jefferson, "and yet I am certain that some wretch or other will write against him. It will hurt his feelings and injure his health, take my word." Mrs. Trist almost certainly knew that in addition to the common ailments of the day, dysentery, fevers, influenza, Madison suffered from sudden attacks that he described as somewhat resembling epilepsy and suspending the intellectual functions. Historians of a later time would dismiss these attacks. Epileptoid hysteria, his most influential biographer would call them. But Madison's description fits today's understanding of epilepsy. His sudden attacks might well have been complex partial seizures, which leave the affected person conscious, but with his or her comprehension and ability to communicate impaired. The intellectual function suspended, one might reasonably say. In Madison's day, such attacks were not generally regarded as epileptic, which may account for the qualifiers in his description. Epilepsy was a term reserved for convulsive seizures, but Madison saw a relationship between his attacks and those in which people fell to the ground and convulsed, an understanding that put him in advance of his time. Madison did not make a show of himself, but neither did he lack vanity. His jacket and breeches were finely made, his stockings usually silk. He powdered his hair and combed it forward to a point in order to cover a receding hairline. And, unassuming though he might seem, he didn't hesitate to take on enormous projects. Standing in Mrs. House's parlor, his clothes still damp from